This past Monday, we celebrated a holiday. For some, it was Columbus Day. Others, it's Indigenous Peoples Day. The controversy of removing monuments and statues has recently come into play. Ellen chatted with the author of Creating Space for Conflicted Histories to explore the topic.
This is a topic we cover here on the news often, especially over this last year, with monuments, statues, and people fighting over whether they should stay or not. I know that this is your area of expertise. What are you seeing right now while we're still having these discussions?
Well, statues are falling around the world. Monuments to historic figures are being taken down and spray painted and having their heads chopped off. All over the world, with protests going on against police brutality and racial injustice, our attention is being brought back to legacies of social injustice. And so people are asking themselves, do these monuments still belong in my town?
And we have so many monuments here in DC too. So I wanted to see if you were up for a quiz to kind of explain, how do you know whether that monument or statue should stay or not? Are you good with that?
Absolutely.
Okay. All right. The first question in the quiz is, why remember?
Yeah, so what is the significance of the site being remembered? You know, I worked at the creation of the atomic bomb site in Los Alamos, New Mexico. And, you know, that was a site that was responsible for a lot of destruction because it was used in Japan to end the Second World War. And so it cost many Japanese lives. But it also saved many lives. It saved many American lives and other soldiers' lives by ending the war and not continuing the fighting. And so while it was a site that's associated with destruction, has some controversy, what doesn't change is the significance of the site, the why remember, because of the impact it had on so many lives.
What about, what is the history being remembered with the different statues or monuments?
So what actually happened here on site at the monument or the historic site? I worked on both sides of the Civil War. I worked at Gettysburg, where the North won, and I worked in Richmond, the Confederate capital, where the South won a series of battles. And what you find in these sites is the stories and the people and the events being remembered are particular and specific to that location.
I know number 3, this one's interesting me for deciding the statues or monuments. What does it mean to remember? What does that mean?
So what that means is you have to consider, are you commemorating? Are you celebrating? Are you condoning? Are you condemning? Are you glorifying? Are you memorializing? What is the intention of the site, of the stories being told? What is the intention of the monument? You have to think about the implications of what it means to remember.
And then finally, the last question in the quiz, how do you remember?
So these monuments have many stories. They're complex. These sites and monuments and museums have many complicated layers to them. And there are many people, there are many perspectives, there are many emotions, many different ways of looking at something. And so one of the challenges and one of the questions to consider with a site or a monument is, how do you use that particular resource to tell these stories that have so many layers?
Raffi, I think this is great because we do have all of those questions surrounding different monuments, and we don't all agree on everything. So these questions are great to try to get to the bottom of it. Thank you again for joining us today.
Thank you.
Interesting things to consider from Raffi. You can find Raffi's book, Creating Space for Conflicted Histories, on Amazon. It's out now.